Hello, Embers. No, this is not a normal episode. I'm not going to say welcome to Ember Exchange, though I hope you feel welcome. This isn't really Ember Exchange, though it kind of is. I'm not calling it an episode for a reason that you'll see. This is maybe more of an announcement or perhaps an introduction. It's probably a little bit of both. Don't worry, this isn't going to replace your regularly scheduled content. You'll still get your normal Ember Exchange episode on the bi-weekly. But this constitutes the announcement that we're going to make in the discussion we're going to have does constitute a big enough change to the show that it felt like it was valuable to kind of give it its own little segment. So that's what we're doing right now. And for this, I'm really happy to be sitting across from a guy named Nick. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Dylan.
How's it going?
Going great. It's going great.
For those of you who have been listening for a while, you will recognize Nick's illustrious profile and his smooth, buttery voice from an earlier episode. I think it was episode 3. I think we called it Cracking a Cold One with Christ. So we were talking about Christian response to alcohol, and Nick shared some of his perspective on that. But part of the announcement and what we're doing here is that Nick today is not just a guest. So why are we having this conversation? Because
I'm officially joining the podcast.
yeah, all right. So Nick is going to be one of the folks sitting on this side of the camera from here on out. But rather than just saying, okay, Nick's doing this, hooray, make an X post about it or an Instagram post about it, or doing it, in a sentence at the beginning of an episode, the why Nick is joining the podcast is a big enough question that it deserves to be thought about in a little bit more depth. So I'm going to ask you, Nick, why? Why are you joining the podcast?
Well, there would be multiple reasons to that.
Okay.
Number one reason is I'm engaged to Heidi now. And
Yay!
yeah,
Crowd goes wild. Ah!
I'm pretty excited about it, so
Yes.
I hope you all are too.
Yes, I'm sure the Embers are pretty stoked about that. I assume that all of the, many of them have been shipping it since back at episode 3. So
They saw it coming.
to lock it down, nice.
Thank you.
We're very, very happy for you guys.
Yes.
Okay,
Appreciate
so
it.
cool. You guys are engaged. That's a bit more of a commitment than just like boyfriend. So cool.
Yes.
Why does that mean that you're joining the podcast though?
Couple reasons to that also, adding on to it, I guess it's not just one. I feel like with me and Heidi being one, not yet, but in the future, it's
Okay.
important to be fully involved in the things together. And as she states her mind, I wanted to state my opinion along with it. But most importantly, you and Jill have asked me to join.
Yes, we
So-
did. We specifically asked also because, we've been very privileged to hear a lot of Heidi's heart and thoughts on a number of different issues. But one thing
Absolutely.
that means a lot to us, and this has probably come through in the way that you Embers have seen Jill and I interact, and some of the language that we've used, is this idea of Christian headship and the structure of a family, and what that relates to in the concept of philosophical and theological discussions and who is setting the tone in a family. So
Absolutely.
from our perspective, we have been, again, very privileged to discuss things with Heidi, but given that you two are going to become one, as you described, the way that her approach to philosophy and theology and politics is going to be in submission to you, because that's the way that it's prescribed, and we've shared in a number of different places on the podcast the theological impetus for that. And so it seems natural then, or right, that you would then be a part of that and helping shape and guide the conversations as the head of your household, just as I do with mine.
Yep.
And of course, the Embers are aware that we do listen to what they have to say, because I think that both of our female counterparts are very intelligent people and have like really good things to say.
Agreed.
And so that's why they're a part of this conversation. But setting that template for Christian headship is something that is important to us. So I'm curious, can you describe a little bit what headship means to you?
To me, it would just be the Lord commands us to guide our household and to guide our spouses. And it's not only guiding your spouse, but guiding your potential future family, Lord willing, if that would be a thing. And it's pretty much taking all the necessary steps to the point of, when that becomes a reality, that you're ready for it.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And so we want to set that posture now, even though you guys are just engaged.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
looking forward with great anticipation for the big day.
yeah.
And so yeah, structuring this around that
Mhm.
sort of
And
thing.
it has just so much more weight when you date intentionally too.
Oh, certainly. One thing I'm really excited for about having you, aside from the modeling good Christian household structure,
Mhm.
is finally having another dude to like talk about
Right?
things with. And
Yeah.
this will also unlock some interesting ways that we can structure episodes. I think so. Not the next episode that the Embers will be listening to, but the one after that. I think we're going to try to structure it where you and I will have a conversation for the first half, and then they'll get to have a conversation for the second half.
Yes,
And
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, so just some interesting things that we'll get to
Mhm.
do with that, where we can talk, more directly to men, and they can share
Yes,
directly for women. All right,
absolutely.
so that's the why. I
Yeah.
think I'm so excited about it. I think the Embers are going to be excited about it too. For those who don't remember, way back to when we did have you as a guest, it's probably worth doing a bit more of an introduction of like who is even this Nick guy. So, in like a couple of minutes, can you just give us the snapshot of like who is Nick?
All right. Well, let's start at I've only been a Christian for a following Christian, in my opinion, for 5 years. I grew up in a Christian household, um, rebelled for quite a few years, and through a lot of in F and if and buts in between that has led me to the Lord. And a little about like what I enjoy. I'm very into action sports type things, snowboarder, mountain bikes, dirt bikes, all that type of stuff. Very into that.
Yeah, the
Um,
motocross thing being the big one, and
yes,
he's gone so far as to convince Jill and I, and even Heidi, that this is something that we should be participating in. And so far, two thumbs up, but I haven't broken any bones. So we'll
yes.
see if I continue to have two thumbs to put up. But
Anyways, continuing on, I would say I had a quite a few things happen in my life that really drug me away from the Lord, and has through those things, as hard as they have brought me back to Him, and has give me a certain perspective and a mindset that I would never have had I not gone through those things. I guess to make a long story short and to put it in a nutshell. But yeah, I'm blessed right now. I got to know Dylan and Jill through Heidi, and which has been a very big blessing. And I am a salesman at a motorcycle shop
yep,
and the finance manager there too. So definitely keep myself busy. So I get to work around what I love too. Very blessed in that aspect.
the Embers I think are pretty aware that the three of us originally that have been doing this are very conservative in our politics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Christian, obviously, which you've expressed, but
Yep.
you also share our political convictions as well. And so I'm curious, why is it that you hold the views that you do? And can you give the Embers a picture of where those convictions come from? Because, and I don't think we haven't officially done this necessarily as a topic, but I think we will at some point. Is
Mm-hmm.
can you be a conservative, or I'm sorry, a Christian liberal? And I tend to think the answer is no. Um,
Anymore. Yeah.
yeah, and you are not.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
can you give us a picture of why do you hold the views that you do?
So I am conservative in the fact that I hold traditional family values
Yep.
and biblical truths to be most important, and that lines up with their beliefs.
Yeah. Yep. And oftentimes that'll fall. Often I find myself voting for Republicans, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
as we've discussed in some previous episodes and some near ones going forward here, it doesn't. It's not always a 1-to-1. So it's
No.
interesting
No.
to try to navigate that while holding true to convictions outside of just blind allegiance to any old political party. So
Yeah.
cool. I'm excited to see some of your perspectives.
I am very much into the other end of things, the way that the Bible ties into, um, putting it loosely, like conspiracy theories up to legends, up to myths that the world is based
Hmm.
upon.
Interesting.
So
Okay,
it really gets my gears turning, you could say.
that's
Really
exciting.
intrigues me, and I think Dylan too.
Yes, as we discuss all sorts of things, the Embers have seen us
Yeah,
talk about you know
yeah, quite a bit,
a
quite
lot
a
of
few
different
different
stuff, and we got
topics.
a lot of ground to cover still. Um, one of the grounds that I think that we're going to have to cover at some point, and this just might, this might be a situation where it's just Nick and Dylan having a conversation, because I don't know that the girls are super interested,
Sure.
but aliens.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
did
Yep.
did the Embers know that we think about aliens a lot? well, you should be thinking about aliens more than you are, probably.
Yeah.
So Nick, we're not gonna. This is an introduction. We're not gonna talk about aliens, but
Sure.
to close
Well, a
this
little
out,
bit.
well, yeah, a little bit. To close this out, and to tease what is to come, adding Nick to the Embers. What are aliens, Nick?
So my opinion is that they are demonic of origin. I believe that
Yes.
they are spiritual entities and they manipulate and just convince a lot of people that they're a thing that is what it isn't.
I absolutely agree with you. And on that cliffhanger of a note, Embers, thank you so much for tuning in to this brief introduction. You're going to get to see a lot more of Nick, and I'm excited about it. Hope you are too. So thanks so much, and burn bright.
We're out.
And we're out.
Okay.